You know this feeling when you're looking up a guide for a game you want to play, only to see that the platinum is 0.8% ultra rare because you need to finish it without dying, so instead of playing it you end up going through 5 stages of grief. Should game developers implement those trophies and those mods to begin with? Let's analyze it. In order to understand where permadeath mods are coming from, we need to go all the way back to the origins of video games. Back in the early days, games usually offered the player free lives, and when those lives ran out, the player would be greeted with a game over screen and had to start a new game from scratch. The main reason for it was because at the time there was no way to save your in-game progress. Some developers were trying to get creative, like offering checkpoints, but even then, upon turning off your game console, you would need to start from the very beginning. Other way around this issue was using passwords. These passwords were mostly shown in the end of the level and allowed the players to enter them and start from the next level instead of the beginning of the game, but they were still very limited in the amount of information that could be stored in them, like the player's stats, score, or inventory. In 1986, with the release of The Legend of Zelda, game saves made their debut. Finally, players were able to save their progress on the game cartridge, and as long as the built-in battery didn't run out of juice, they could save and resume their game at any point. Other developers started to catch on, which allowed to make bigger and better games with more in-depth stories, massive worlds, RPG elements and exploration, and it did seem at the time that permadeath mods are the way of the past, but despite that, they are still relevant and present in some AAA games, and the question is why? To understand the reason, we need to take a deep dive into why we actually play video games, and after doing some research it comes down to fulfilling 11 basic needs. Gaining knowledge, gaining and improving skills, regulating emotions, caring, satisfying the senses with pleasant inputs, competing for rewards, cooperating for rewards, feeling competent, persevering through hard times, creating tools, and managing danger. I won't go into too much detail about every single one of them, but the bottom line is failure and difficulty are important to the enjoyment of the game. Basically, failure is not an opposite of winning, but adds depth to the game, giving you the opportunity to improve your skills and adjust your strategies. It adds content and doesn't hurt the gaming experience as long as you know the reasons for your failure so you can learn from it. Permadeath mods take the failure to another level with the threat of losing all the progress you worked so hard for and forces you to play with extreme caution, which answers 3 of the 11 basic needs: caring, danger management, and most of all, perseverance. It offers you plenty of opportunities to fail, meaning that success feels even better. Other positive aspects that permadeath mods offers is replayability value and immersion. It allows you to discover the best way to play through trial and error, letting you find the perfect strategy and improve your skills. As for immersion, well, what is more immersive than imitating real life? These days, permadeath mods are a main feature and a selling point for a lot of games. There is an entire genre made with semi-permadeath playstyle in mind, and those games don't work without it. Returnal and Hades are extremely popular, and although they're not permadeath in the literal sense, as they do offer player upgrades that carry over and shortcuts you can unlock, which adds to progression and makes consequential playthroughs easier, you're still forced to play the game from the start every single time. Other well-known game that features this mod is Wolfenstein New Colossus, and this game will test your perseverance more than ever, with extremely unforgiving difficulty that can end your run at any point, but it does have an appeal in my opinion. Now, to be honest, I am yet to play this game properly, but I did complete the permadeath mod in Max Payne 3, and I can tell you that the satisfaction I got after successfully completing this game is incomparable to any of my other gaming achievements. That being said, those types of game modes are definitely not for everyone, as some people might be discouraged to try it out or straight up leave the game after failure and never go back, and this is something that should be taken into consideration. Also, I definitely think that those mods shouldn't be featured in every game, as in some of them it simply wouldn't work, because if the game is targeting more casual audience, it might hurt the gaming experience overall. Other factor is that some genres are simply incompatible with it. For example, there is no way I would play a 50 hours RPG game like that, but as long as the game is short enough, I would say no longer than 4 or 5 hours, and the difficulty is fair, so the reason for failure is perfectly clear. It could work, and this is the reason those mods are still featured in modern games. The main question remains though. Yes, I think that games should feature permadeath mods when it makes sense, but should there be trophies for completing those mods? And in my opinion, the answer is yes. As a trophy hunter, I like when I'm pushed to challenge myself, and I think if there is no trophy for doing so, I simply wouldn't. The only reason I bought Wolfenstein New Colossus and completed Wolfenstein New Order was because I knew that I want to attempt going for that elusive main Lieben trophy. And same goes for Max Payne 3, which I did actually complete, and the reason I went after that platinum trophy was because I wanted a challenge, and if it wasn't the case, I would have missed out on this incredible and underrated game. Of course, there always will be trophy hunters that won't play a game just because they think that they won't be able to pull this off. off, and I understand that, as there are some games I avoid for the very same reasons. Other aspect is the fact that to actually become good enough to complete those modes you need to put in the time, and some of us don't have a lot of it. I played Max Payne 3 when I was stuck at home during lockdown, so I had nothing else going on, but nowadays, since I actually have a day job, I'm not sure that I'm ready to attempt Mein Leben, at least for now, because I am aware of the time sacrifice it will require, so I prefer to play easier games instead. But I think that it gives those trophies even more appeal and prestige, and for those reasons I believe that permadeath trophies should stay. What do you think about permadeath trophies, and did you actually achieve any of them? Also, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to me as I make gaming and trophy hunting content at least once a week. Thank you for watching.